Do you know Rick Rubin?
Yes, music producer. He was the
I
he
worked
was the
for
money man, wasn't he?
in Smoky Mountain, and I worked there the whole time and never knew it. They never told me. So when I finally read that Rick Rubin was the money guy behind Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I went, and I don't know if anybody else knew it or not, but I didn't know it. I didn't know he put the money up, which is, you remember the mummy on Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Oh, it's hilarious. The only reason the mummy was there because Rick Rubin wanted to see a mummy. So they put, and it is so unlike Cornette to use a character like the mummy, but because Rick Rubin wanted it, they put him out there. And they put him with a manager. I forgot his name that he was
Daryl Van
using.
Horn.
Yeah, Daryl Van Horn. And I like when they cut his finger off. Do you ever see that?
Yeah.
And sand came out. The sand fell out. Oh, I laughed. But it was entertaining. I mean, I knew the guy that did it actually did a pretty good job with it. But the mummy, I've seen the mummy twice. Once on Titanis Del Ring. Remember, I've talked about Titanis Del Ring and Smoky Mountain. The only time I ever saw the mummy. But they were a lot of things that, I went through my whole career not knowing certain things, like Rick Rubin would be the backer from Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which leads me to another question. How did Cornette ever come in contact with Rick Rubin? Do you know that?
Oh, did he meet him at a gig or something? I know Rick Rubin was a big wrestling fan, and I don't know if he met him through Ric Flair or... I think he met him in the WCW days, and then Jim Cornette said that he was thinking of opening his own deal. Hang on, I've been signed on another device. What's happened there? I don't know is the answer, but he met him in like a year or two before, and then somehow money ended up going his way.
Well, anyway, that's just the way conversations go down the road. If we don't know something, we say, well, whatever, and we go to the next subject.
Well, talk about the mummy a bit more then. What else did he do apart from the sand finger cutting? I mean, sure, did any of the fans look and believe?
Well, it's in Smoky Mountain, so I don't think they really believed it, but it was entertaining, and they put up with it. And he wasn't there long, maybe a month, 6 weeks at the most, I think. How you gonna book a mummy? I mean, so he loses. He don't care. So he gets beat. But I don't think he ever got. I never saw him get beat. I did see him on a show one time in Johnson City, which is one of their bigger shows. And Johnson City had a really nice indoor arena, and it was almost. And I've never seen Johnson City sold out ever, even in a small arena. But this was the closest that I'd ever seen the Johnson City area sell out. He'd probably seat 6,000, 7,000 people. They probably had 5 there, which if you usually used to going into arena and 1,000 people there, when they put 5,000 in there, it looks like a full house. So, but they usually go to smaller buildings.
With the mummy, he was called Rob Mays. He was the one who wrestled as Prince Karras. And I don't suppose you ever saw him in makeup, did you? Or like trying to wrap him up?
I don't remember that name. I think his name was... I knew his name, but it wasn't Robert Mays. But then again, he could have had a wrestling name, and then he could have had a real name. Robert Mays may have been his real name. I know him. I think about. Hopefully, I think about it. I think of his name before we end this podcast today.
We'll go.
Not that it matters. People say, "Okay, you give us a name." We still don't know who he is.